Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Naja here with Budgeting the Bacon, where I talk about us living a mortgage-free life along with saving and investing and me earning extra money. So today is Mortgage-Free Monday, and I wanted to share with you guys, if you saw my little clip that I did yesterday about why I actually paid off my mortgage. But if you have not already done so, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and make sure that you hit the all notification bell. To the returning Bacon Bit Squad members, thank you guys so much for being here. And to the new subbies that have come over to the channel, thank you guys for coming in and joining the family. So this video is a little bit hard for me to make because it brings up a lot of childhood memories for me, and a lot of my childhood was good, but then it turned bad. I want to be as transparent as possible with you guys while still protecting, I guess you could say, like, other parties that are not here that can actually jump in on my video to talk about certain things and how they were affected with our childhood. But I guess I'll go ahead and I'll just start from the beginning of where I feel like it should start from, and then progressing to where we are today. So if you don't know, we are mortgage free as of August 9th, 2023. But let's go ahead and take it back because there's a reason why it was so important to pay off the mortgage. But I indicated or stated that, I wanted mortgage freedom. I wanted to get away from the bank. I wanted to have more money in my pocket. And all of those things are true. No doubt. All of those things come with mortgage freedom. However, we do need to look at the psychology or emotionally where we're coming from in a place where we want to pay off things. Now, for me, I didn't realize that until I was teaching the financial literacy class that I have with 11th and 12th graders, and I actually shared with them that I paid off my mortgage. And it really took me back to a place emotionally where I was like, this was like my aha moment. I grew up in a two-parent household from the time that I was little up until a certain point of time when things all of a sudden changed. I did grow up in the Northeast, and then we moved to the South when I was about 10, 11 years old to be closer to my maternal grandparents. And we lived like right around the corner from them. And so it was convenient for us to be over there. The relationship between my mother and my grandparents, which were her parents, was mending because it had been strained for quite some time. But things were on the up and up. There was basically like a shakeup within our family. My mom ended up becoming sick. She went into the hospital for surgery, and that was the last time I saw her. Like, literally, that was the last time that I saw her before she went in for the surgery. And the crazy thing, or not so much the crazy thing but she shared with me at that time, because I was only like 10, 11 years old. She shared with me that there may be a possibility that she would not come out of the hospital. But she was like, you can't tell anyone that. Now, thinking about that as a 10, 11-year old, I mean, I didn't really know how to like process that really. And all I remember is that when she told me that, I left out of the room and I just like broke down crying in my living room. And she came in there and she comforted me. And that was kind of that. Like, I don't really remember too much after that, but I do remember that she was in the hospital. She had the surgery that she needed, and she never came out or came back home to us. Like, we did get a chance to go visit her one time, but she wasn't really like able to talk or anything like that. I mean, it was a really horrible situation. So being in a two-parent household, to all of a sudden it's me, my dad, my older sister, and my younger brother, was just kind of like, well, this was like our new normal. So it was probably shortly after, because I can't really remember the time frame, but things just went from bad to worse. And it was really just, now that I look back on it now, I'm just kind of like, we were really just like in a messed up situation. We were when we were younger. We ended up getting evicted from our home. And at that time, my dad, he was like a manager at the mall, but he wasn't paying the mortgage and he wasn't paying the bills. And so we barely had things to eat. And so we ended up getting evicted. Now, I don't really know how they do evictions now, or like the length of the process, the time frame of them. But I remember us having to bag up our clothes and things that we wanted to keep. Where we were going to stay, I had no idea at that point. But the things that we wanted to keep in order to take those with us. And literally the day that we were evicted or said that this was your last day in the home, like they came with one of those huge steel bins, like dumpsters, and our stuff was put outside, I mean, on the road, by the side of the road, the curb, whatever you want to call it. It was out of the house. Like people literally came in and took our stuff and put it outside. And I remember being obviously embarrassed, okay, because that is not something that you want your friends or your neighbors or other people to know, that you no longer have a place to stay. And I didn't realize how bad our situation was. But my dad at the time, he had turned to alcohol and he had turned to drugs. And so that's why things were not getting paid. And obviously, the job situation with him was no longer there because he ended up losing his job. So we ended up moving into our neighbor's house, which was directly to the right of us. He took us in, my siblings and I, along with my dad, and we stayed there for probably like a month or two. And so, I'm very grateful for him. He was very gracious in order to allow us to stay there. His house was probably no bigger than the house that we had just lost, but he was willing to take us in. And so we stayed there for, like I said, about a month or two until we were able to find somewhere else to stay. But in between that time, it was like we were kind of almost getting evicted from the neighbor's house because if you have any family members or if you know someone that's been that abuses and uses alcohol and drugs, they have a tendency to steal. And so my dad had stolen some money from the neighbor. I don't even think we had been there like maybe a good week or so, and so there was a fight that occurred. Now, the only reason why I think that the neighbor didn't put us out right then and there was because of the fact that there was three small children that were there. At the time, like I said, I was about 11 years old. My brother was 7, and then she's 2 years older than me, so she was 13. So I think that he was feeling guilty. Now, if it had just been my dad that was there, he would have been put out immediately, obviously. So we stayed there for about a month, and then we ended up finding or getting a place that was further away from the city where we were at. And at that time, we had lost contact with my grandparents because the relationship between my mom and my grandparents, the one that was supposed to be mending and going well, that ended up souring before my mom had actually passed away. So we couldn't actually turn to my grandparents to get assistance and help because of the fact that things were they were not good. And so what ended up happening is we ended up getting another place. Well, we ended up getting like two more places. However, the drugs continued, the alcohol continued. My dad was receiving Social Security, but he was getting the Social Security, but I think we know at this point where that money was going. And so it was always in limbo regarding if we had a place to stay, if rent was going to be paid, if we were going to have food. I remember there was quite a few times. At one time, we lived over the top of a hair salon, and because we could not afford electricity, what my dad did was he asked one of the salon stylists if we could use our very long extension cord in order to run it from upstairs at our space down in the salon so that we could have electricity, pretty much. There was times when he would rig the water system because our water got cut off. So he knew how to manually like turn the dial that was near the street or the curb in order for us to get water. I mean, it was really, really bad. Like when I really thought about it, I was like, my childhood was not stable whatsoever for a period of years, for about 5 years or so. And it really just made me reflect and think about that when I was talking with the high schoolers that I have. Like I literally became emotional and I got choked up because, I told them, I said, the thing is my children will always have a place to stay, whether I'm here, whether I'm not here, they will have somewhere to stay. And that is why I did it. That's what's so important to me. And also, with that being said, when I was a child, we didn't have much food. We were on food stamps. We would go to food pantries. We would collect cans. I would try to like babysit some of the hairstylist clients, their children on the weekends, so I would get money. But food was also scarce. So it wasn't just the housing, it was food as well. And I think that's why I turned to food emotionally, because it's comfort for me, because it's something that I didn't have, just like not having a stable home in a place. I remember times where we didn't have anything to eat and we were like trying to get food, but we didn't have anything. And I remember eating toothpaste, as gross as that is, but toothpaste, because literally that was something that I could consume. And so I think that's now why I spend money on food. Like food is comforting to me. Food is when I'm emotional. Food basically, like, it feels good, and it takes care of what I'm feeling and how I'm feeling, and it comforts me pretty much. So if I spend money on anything, it's on food. It's not on clothes, it's not on shoes, it's not on designer bags, it's not on my hair, it's not on my nails or anything like that. It's food. And so food and having a place to stay are like the number one reasons and the things that I was like, I need to make sure that my children have. Like, if they don't have anything else, they need to have these four walls and they need to have something to eat, because I remember those days of not having it. And it wasn't just days, but it was like years, guys. It was years that this went on until there was like a chain of events that occurred, which is even more messed up as the story and the plot goes along. But yeah, so honestly, that is why I feel so passionate. And when I say that my students, if they ask me for a snack or they ask me for something to eat, I give it to them, because I don't know what their households are. And I know what my household was like and what was going on in my life, and how it was just messed up, not having a place to stay, not knowing if we're going to have a place to stay, not having, water that we could just turn on at any time. We're having to, calculate it out so that when the meter man comes, that the water is not showing that it's on, and electricity, having to use it at limited times. I mean, it was horrible, when I look back on it. I wanted to share that with you guys, that, it was way more than just the financial benefits of it. Yes, absolutely. It's great to have a paid off home, but you really need to know the why behind it. And for me, it took me really thinking about and sharing a little bit of my story with my students in order for it to like really click for me. And that was eye opening. Like I said, I became emotional. I didn't start crying in front of the kids or anything like that, but it really made me think and really appreciate the fact that was able to do it, because I don't know anybody else in my family that has a paid off home at all, and that's able to build generational wealth, or that was able to build generational wealth. Like, this is so important to me. I guess that's why I'm enjoying my house and not really going anywhere, because those memories of not having a place to stay really stuck with me. I just wanted to be transparent and share that with you guys, because we all have our different reasons of why we do what we do. And sometimes the childhood trauma that we experience, it carries over into adulthood. And sometimes you don't address that. And unfortunately, things trigger good memories, things trigger bad memories, things trigger things that are upsetting to you, or that disturbed you, or that you didn't realize when you were younger, like, yeah, that wasn't quite right. And so I just want to share with you guys that whatever journey that you're on, continue it. If you have to slow down, then I totally understand. If you have to stop it for a while, I totally understand that. But always remember and think about your why and your purpose of why you are doing it. All right, guys, that is what I wanted to share with you all today. Thank you so much for being here. As always, I really appreciate every single subscriber that I have. I do not take you guys for granted, and I just want to say that whatever it is you're doing, keep on pushing on, and continue to encourage each other on this journey. Until the next video, guys, bye.